Good morning, everyone. My name is Benjamin. My name is Benjamin Reinhard, and I'm a quantitative economics. I'm a senior at St. Olaf College and a quantitative economics major, and I am one half of our analytics team at St. Olaf.
Hi, my name is Henry Gliedman, and I'm a junior mathematics major at St. Olaf, and I'm the other half of the analytics department for our baseball team.
And this is our presentation on bringing pitching plus to Division III baseball, the art of WAR model. So pitching plus is simply a metric, a quantitative model that measures pitchers. And usually it's composed of stuff plus, which is just how nasty a pitcher is, and location plus, how well a pitcher throws not just strikes, but good strikes. Our pitching plus version was inspired by Enosaurus and Max Bay. And most public models typically use run values, which kind of brings us to the crux of our issue, which is at Division III level, we simply do not have access to run values. We also don't have access to any sort of exit velocity numbers. So we're at a pretty big, from the get-go, we have quite the barrier to overcome. So that kind of, for the purpose of our model, our biggest thing was our financial constraints. So as a small Division III college in southern Minnesota, we surprisingly don't have a very big budget. And additionally, there's a lot of differences in the level of play. So last year, our team's average fastball velocity was 82 miles an hour compared to the major league average of 94 miles an hour. So close, but not exactly. And finally, in Division III, there's a pretty limited contact schedule. There's a set number of days you can see players in the fall as well as the spring, which means our biggest question is how can we quickly and accurately evaluate our pitchers? So for our methodology, we started with sort of an intake bullpen where every pitcher got on the Rapsodo, which is the device that tracks pitches, it tracks spin, etc. And we collected all of this thrown ball data for everyone's pitches. From there, we set about creating a stuff constant, which we used a machine learning, specifically XGBoost, which is an extreme gradient boosting model, to weight the various statistics and see what stats were the most important and correlated with success. And for our final statistics for our stuff constant, it was an weighted average of whiff percentage, CSW percentage, which is called plus swinging strikes, as well as finishing percentage, a stat that we defined as the percentage of 2 strike counts that result in a strikeout. So moving forward onto the machine learning aspect, we started with using Baruda, which is a feature selection algorithm to have the computer tell us what parts of our Rapsodo data most correlated with our stuff constants. From there, we again used the XGBoost to weight exactly how much these different things matter. So as you can see with the plot sliders up there, as Mr. Kenny was talking about, velocity, definitely king, and as well as W.A.R units, which is total spin divided by velocity, and vertical break. And those are all in most models, they tend to be very valuable. So we were pleased that our model was validated as such. Finally, we used regressions, multiple regressions between each Rapsodo metric and then their stuff constant. And this was so that we could put them all on a 100 scale, meaning a 101 is 1% above average, 99, 1% below, on and on. And finally, here was our original final stuff plus. So as you can see, it is negatively correlated with FIP and not super strong, as data availability is definitely still our biggest problem. But as you'll hear from Henry here, there's a few things that we did to modify this and make it more valuable.
On top of just trying to quantify stuff, we also wanted to quantify location, as that's the other half of the statistic. However, again, we quickly ran into the roadblock of we don't have location values, which is what traditional stuff plus and pitching plus systems use. Basically, a location value is saying if this is a strike zone, a pitch down the middle that's a fastball, and a pitch in the corner are completely different in terms of value for a pitcher. We don't have the technology to do that at the Division III level. So instead, we again used machine learning to just try to create a model that could emulate that. We chose a whole number of location-based statistics from charting live games for our team. And then we used the machine learning to choose the statistics that we wanted. We decided that ground ball to fly ball rate, called strike percentage, controlled count percentage, which we defined as the percent of at-bats that don't reach 2-0 or 3-1, competitive pitch percentage, first 2 of 3 strike percentage, and first pitch strike percentage were the statistics that mattered. And then we did a regression in a similar way to Stuff Plus. Above, that's the chart of our location plus versus FIP. We found an R-squared value of 0.291, which we were really excited about. So then with that, we have our Stuff Plus and we have our location plus, and we wanted to put it together into a final pitching plus statistic that could really well determine how valuable a pitcher is at the D3 level. All it was a weighted average using the R-squared values for the stuff and the location. And we found that our R-squared value against FIP was a 0.394, which we thought was very competitive, especially considering the technology that we have access to. So we were really excited about that. And then against the ERA of our guys last spring, our R-squared value was actually 0.619, which we were ecstatic about. So here's the final chart against FIP. As you can see, a lot of the guys do follow that trend pretty well, accounting for both stuff and location. There's kind of that cluster up above, and we have some hypotheses on why those guys are up there based on how they pitch. And we also think that with more data, that line would start to get smoothed out better and our model would just improve. Here it is against ERA. Again, I'd like to stress, I mean, we only had 12 pitchers at St. Olaf that threw in live games last spring. So we only have 12 points of data. So even though our R-squared is pretty good and we think our model does a good job of predicting these guys, we don't really know because we don't have a ton of data. And so that question was kind of looming for us and we were trying to find a solution, and we decided last summer that we were gonna make a company. We're calling it W.A.R Technologies. And the mission of our company is to bring data-driven analytics to all collegiate and high school programs that want it nationwide and making it financially accessible to them. So we're currently working with a partner school to just gather more data at the Division III level to make our model better and make it more useful. And then we're also building a computer application that will basically chart games and print out a massive database of both basic and advanced analytics, along with our Stuff Plus, Location Plus, and Pitching Plus systems. And the idea is that eventually we could use this application, we could use this database, put some AI or machine learning in there, and we could almost create a computer pitching coach that would be very financially accessible to people. And it would give development advice to high school coaches or college coaches that might not have access to the massive database of like MLB or a high-level Division I program. So with that being said, if you know someone that you think would be interested in this, we're still looking for partner schools. So feel free to reach out. Our email is at artofwartechnologies@gmail.com. And we also have a Twitter at artofwartech. Thank you. Are there any questions or? Oh.
You were functionally selecting the initial data sample from scrimmages and I assume practices as well. Do you feel the games added anything to that data set?
Yeah, definitely. So for us, we typically spend the fall is basically exclusively scrimmaging. So from like September until it gets cold in Minnesota, which, you know, like late
August.
September. But yeah, so we're also this season, we've been charting statistics for our games and just continue to expand the database. We had our original model was just with last year's stuff. This model is with last year and this year. So it's definitely it's a lot more accurate this year, and we think it will just continue to get better.
Okay. I mean, I just sort of wanted to ask like how this topic came under your radar or how you became interested in this.
Yeah, so I guess I last February decided to stop playing baseball and just work in this stuff. And so I was like, well, I could just chart the games, or we could come up with something sort of unique. I'd been reading about it from all the different models, from Driveline to, to everyone that's done it. And so I was really interested, and I was like, well, but those guys throw 95 and we don't. So how can we figure it out for us?
My hands went a long time ago. I'm wondering, did you present these results to the team? And how did they react?
Yeah, so we give basically at the end of every couple of weeks in the spring and then at the end of the fall, we give these results to all of the players and all of the coaches. And then we also kind of have gotten brought on as like assistant pitching coaches. And so the players will actually come to us. We had a couple come to us at the end of the fall and help us build off-season programs, kind of based around how they can increase these numbers and how they can better get outs, I guess.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.